Welcome back to Next Normal, to the interesting fireside chat about the modular content for delivering omnichannel customer engagement at scale with agility and impact. And really pleased to welcome two colleagues from Novo Nordisk. So we have Vanitha and her boss, if I can say so, Morten. Hi both to you. How are you?
Hi, Dan. Very good, thanks.
Great. So it was pretty much fun when we designed the conversation for this fireside chat. And for the audience, if you didn't notice, we are still in the pandemic. Colleagues in Denmark are already out. You're again in a free country without any restrictions, right? So if you didn't notice, again, Europe is still in the pandemic. But the question to you is, what's changed in the last 18 months in engagement strategies when we speak in overall?
Yeah, so I've heard a couple of topics today around content and the importance of content, and of course that's also the topic of our fireside chat today. Because what really has changed is an acceleration of our engagement model. When we look across Novo Nordisk and we look at the data that we have available for the last year, for instance, in the markets that really has accelerated, we're seeing 4 times more interactions with our customers than we had before. And that's a trend that we see going across basically every country, that if you have a face-to-face model versus a hybrid model, it's 4 times more. If we then turn around the analytics and we start to look at how do we cater for all these new engagements, because we all know that each interaction needs something exciting for our customers. And how do we make sure we have all that? Well, we can also see internally that the content production has grown 4 times for promotional types of content and non-branded content. And that puts a lot of pressure on us as an organization, because how do we make sure that we can actually deliver on that? That meaning both in terms of budgets, are we just going to grow our budgets 4 times? It's a matter of the internal resources that go into approving all this content. But also, more importantly, I would say, all the content we now produce, does it make a difference? Internally, is it being used and reused across channels? So when global teams produce content or an affiliate produces content, is it used across? And then, of course, that content, is it then executed? And what was the impact of that content? And those are some of the things that from a behavioral standpoint, we can see that change very, very dramatically, but also from an internal perspective, what is then our priority to handle that has grown significantly. And that is basically the topic of today. We see modular content as a very, very important enabler, both for insight and agility to cope with this change that we see.
Thank you very much. Just one suggestion: if you are not speaking, I would kind of ask to mute yourself, because maybe then we can avoid some echoes. Vanitha, coming back to you, please define this meaningful content strategy. What does it mean?
Morten alluded to many things evolving, right? And just like how many things are evolving, our customers' needs are also evolving, and they're also getting more and more diverse. And like in a given room, I don't know what you prefer as content, Dario, versus what I would prefer if we're all physicians here. So meaningful content is something which is able to connect with our customers and drive the engagement forward, right? And for that, we need to make sure that we are able to measure it so that we can improve it and actually see if content is actually meaningful enough. So that's about meaningful content.
Thank you very much, Vanitha. When you speak about content, Morten highlighted it. Content is key. We are still not, let's say, mastering it in the proper way. On the other hand, we said, okay, let's burn the dashboards, like some other speakers said. So my question would be your modular content recipe at Novo Nordisk, because we all know how great you are in that sense.
Yeah. So again, in Novo Nordisk, the modular content recipe, what we have may not be the same in another organization, but for us, we have a specific agenda to drive with modular content. For us, it's about the way we shape the thinking of our marketers when it comes to curating content, and think of content as this building blocks that can be pre-approved for use. So once it is pre-approved, you are able to use and reuse content. So you're able to drive that, and because we are also enabling some sort of visual cues to the MLR team, which will highlight to them, hey, you know what, this piece of content block was used before, and it has been used across these 10 emails in a customer journey. So that gives that visual cue to them, which will also drive agility in MLR process. So it's current use, reuse, and driving MLR agility is key. And more than that, I think the bigger picture here is about enabling personalization of our content, right? To actually cater to the diverse needs of our customers with the help of modular content, which we look at as an efficient model to develop content differently and tailor content.
Thank you, Vanitha.
And I think if I can just add, because I think you're absolutely right, Vanitha, but it's also about how do we embed modular content in the bigger strategy of the company. I think what Vanitha is doing really well internally is to make sure that this is not a technology discussion or a fancy new thing that we can now modularize the content and make it easier, but it's actually closely connected to a strategy around enabling insights. Because what modular content does for us is that we can now track the key message of a specific module from the generation in a global team, for instance, until it's used across the markets, and both help a local affiliate be smarter in the ways they use their time internally, how they make their investments. But I would say even more importantly, also for global brand teams, to be better informed in positioning their brand, whether they are launching a new brand or they are updating their campaigns, or in all the struggles I think we all have at the moment in moving away from a cycle-based campaign to an ongoing content delivery.
Thank you, Morten. But I really wonder, what are those customer experience? Again, this very famous customer experience KPIs related to meaningful content.
Yeah, and I think Morten alluded to this, right? We really want to measure how our content is performing out there in the real world, right? And we are laying the foundations for it with tagging and the key messages, tagging the content with key messages. So we are able to precisely know which content is preferred by which customer segment and in which channel, and how there are various dynamics to this, right? So we can explore a lot of insights by enabling these foundations, and that is primarily our KPI, to see how our HCPs are consuming our content and what impact our content is actually delivering out in the real world.
Thank you very much, Morten. Anything?
So yes, I don't have a lot more to add than Vanitha here. We have established this 360 review of customer engagement across our own channels, and soon expanding also to paid and earned channels. And what I find really interesting here is, our ability to track end-to-end from content creation to execution, to me, is what meaningful content is. It is meaningful if what we produce generates engagement. If it doesn't generate engagement, we can be just as proud of our campaign, or can be just proud of all the great work that we did when we launched our internal campaign within and with our colleagues. But if it doesn't matter at the end, it was not customer-centric, it was not good. And what we do right now with modular content will enable us to quickly react to that and change course if it's not working. So it's not a matter of doing market research, say 6 months in or 9 months in, and then to course correct with your agency. You can do it with a very short time frame in mind.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, I would like to speak about a great opportunity and a great disadvantage. Opportunity, AI and modular content, and disadvantage, or let's say current concern, which is for sure content localization, right? So which we should start first?
Vanitha says
Okay, it's a huge wish, right? That everybody's talking about AI, and for me, what in my perspective, I think AI can be leveraged a lot for hyper personalization of content, especially enabled by modular content, right? When I say hyper personalization, I want to quote this Netflix example, which we are all aware of, where today, if you have a Netflix account, it recommends content to you, and that doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. So Netflix uses a lot of predictive modeling and predictive learning and behavioral attributes, and to actually recommend to users what one should watch. Now, as we scale, in terms of the reach of our customers, it is humanly impossible to actually figure out who likes what and what kind of content will actually be meaningful to a particular customer. So I think that's where AI can be a great tool for us, and we need to take the help of AI and ML to do this at a big scale, to create hyper personalization at big scale, so that we are able to achieve real-time personalization with our customers, just like how Netflix does. So I get into a HCP portal, I will be recommended what I need to watch, what content I need to read next. So, and again, this can also be for the sales rep during the marketing moment of truth. They will exactly know what kind of content they need to actually promote or detail to the physicians. So this is my wish of AI. Maybe Morten, you have more too.
I would rather talk a little bit about the disadvantage or the challenges that we have. Is something we have not solved for, and I think will take quite a while still. When we start hyper personalization, or we even just start personalization going from one segment to more targeted segments, we might have the machine room to have modular content as an enabler to easily repurpose and reuse content across and approve it much faster and with less effort and with more insight. But if we don't have an organization behind that is skilled and resourced to still figure out what are the good content pieces and create them, we might be efficient in the creation of it. And that is one of the challenges we still have in order to become more personalized in our experience. I think we have solved now for creating it more efficiently, but for the personalization, we still have a while to go as well. So if there are anyone on the call who has some solutions for that, I'm very curious. We do have some very brave and great colleagues around in the organization, especially in Latin America, where they are working around ideas of content squads and the affiliate that looks more holistically across the brands on this very specific purpose. And I'm very curious to see how that pans out, because that will feed directly into the machine room that we have created.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, localization. I would also say a quite big challenge, and maybe AI can help in that segment in particular. Who would like to? Sorry?
Sorry?
The question was localization. It's also a quite big challenge when it comes to content localization. So how do you see maybe AI can play a role within this localization part?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting topic, right? For localization, you're speaking, right? I mean, we can explore AI also for in the MLR space when we talk about localization, because then you will know which content is likely to get approved. So the AI algorithm will kind of tell you, so that it kind of speeds up the whole MLR process, and it kind of takes all the data and probably suggests to the local team, hey, you know what, if you want to localize for your campaign, probably these are the content modules you need to pick and choose, which also has a higher impact out in the real world. So we can explore those kind of applications also with AI across the content supply chain.
Thank you, Vanitha. Morten, anything to add on that?
I think that's a very likely medium-term opportunity that we foresee from a modular content and AI. I think short-term with localization, what it really will help us to do is to be more efficient in the localization process. Because what really happens today is that you create global content in fixed formats that you then spend a lot of time locally to desample and then assemble it in a new way. And now we can actually do localization with a high degree of local flexibility without compromising global campaigns or compromising compliance, which is a great opportunity short term that I can highly recommend. but we're actually not very far with the right foundation in content tagging and everything that Vanitha was talking about. We're not that far away from actually having a suggestion engine also within our content supply chain.
Thank you, Morten. So with that thought, we came to the end. So it was really pleasant fireside chat, and hopefully see you next year in May in the Dubrovnik in a live chat, which
we hope so.
It's much better.
If the world allows.
Thank you very much, Vanitha, Morten, and it's a pleasure like always.
Bye.
Bye.